Alright guys, I'm going to do a little video review here of the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380. We're going to talk a little bit about philosophy of 380 in general for self-protection. We'll talk a little bit about some of the features of this pocket pistol that make it a little bit unique compared to the rest of the field and why I chose it. Before we get into that though, I'm going to give you some of the specifics of the pistol that you can get right off the website, but just in case any of you guys are curious, the 380, the Bodyguard 380 is a 6-round magazine. You can run it +1. I do. It's a double action only pistol. It's not striker fire. It is hammer fired, but it is double action only, and it is a stout long trigger pull. It doesn't say on their website what the poundage is, but it's more than any other handgun I've ever shot. With that being said, we'll get into what's good and negative about that at the same time here in a minute. The rear sight is adjustable for windage. It's a polymer frame, which makes it a relatively lightweight gun at under 12 ounces. It's 11.85, I believe. Yes, that's what the website says. The overall length of the gun is just over 5 inches. So there you have it. Those are some of the quick specs on the gun, but let's get into my experiences with it and talk a little bit about it. You know, one thing that I wonder about sometimes, and the general community has a lot to say on it too, is a 380 powerful enough? Is a 380 worth carrying? There's a lot of different sides to that argument. You know, when you get into 380, you get into certain things that you can't with some 9mm, and that's concealability. And I know a lot of you guys are going to chime in and say, well, there's tons of 9mm out there that's concealable. There definitely is. But you can't get as compact with a 9mm as you can on some of these pocket pistol 380s. You just can't do it. But with that being said, you know, there's a concealability issue. There's also the, you know, is the caliber going to do it? Like I said, and so one thing I have experience with some prior to me purchasing this firearm are plus P loads, especially Buffalo Bore plus Ps. Shot them in other calibers. You know, when I'm shopping around and looking at pocket pistols, one thing I found is that none of the pocket pistols recommend that you put plus Ps through their gun. They're just too powerful of a round. They mention that you could have detrimental breakage with the gun. You can have all kinds of malfunctions, and they'll just wear the gun out a lot quicker. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 is one of the few ones out there that actually said you can put plus Ps through it. And you know, I don't think it would be wise to shoot plus Ps constantly, but I definitely think you could carry with it, and I have shot plus Ps through this to check it to make sure it was going to work. One thing that I really found was that it wasn't until I shot some plus Ps through this handgun that my nerves were kind of at ease, and I gained a little bit of confidence in carrying a 380. You know, it's amazing the firepower difference after shooting a couple magazines of some PMC target ammo, standard grain, and then putting in these Buffalo Bore 380 plus Ps. These little guys have a monstrous recoil and kick compared to the others. And like I said, the firepower is just completely different. You know, that's the only reason I have confidence in carrying a 380. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that my carry pistol is an STI Rogue. It's a 9mm, smaller framed 1911, not near as compact as this. That is still my primary carry weapon. I bought this gun to carry in certain situations where I don't have the ability to wear a belt and holster. And the reason I say that is because, you know, I live in an environment where the temperatures go over 100 degrees on a regular basis. You know, depending on the time of year, of course. And, you know, sometimes it's convenient to be able to just throw on gym shorts and a t-shirt, and man, is it more comfortable. Also, my work attire is not something that is that has a belt and holster. It just doesn't. And I needed something that I could carry in a pocket or in a wallet holster, so we'll get into the type of holsters and things towards the end of the video, but that's why I chose the gun. We'll talk a little bit about my experience with it. Alright, so before we continue with the video, let's safety check our firearm. Nothing in the magazine. There's nothing in the chamber. Okay. So one thing I wanted to talk a little bit with you guys is that I did do a lot of shooting with this gun. I've done a lot of shooting with this gun, and I really wanted just something I could throw in my pocket with a pocket holster or in my rear pocket with a wallet holster. That was the main purpose of me seeking out this type of firearm. In the few months that I've had this firearm, I've probably taken it to the range, I don't even know, a dozen times, each time putting at least 30 or 40 rounds through it, if not more. I've never once had a failure to feed, a stoppage of any kind, stove piping. I've never had any reliability issues, even during the break-in period that almost all firearms have, which I thought was outstanding. So that was a great thing that I found with this firearm. Another thing that's a unique feature of this firearm, and this isn't a must, and to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if I never once use it, but it has a built-in laser. Again, not part of my purchasing decision, but there's a button right here on the side of the pistol. It's on both sides. You can actuate, and what it will do is turn on the laser. Press it, there you go. So once turns on the laser, twice strobes, and the third push just turns it off. So you have that feature if that's something you're looking for. Not for me, but there you go. One thing that I liked about this stout trigger pull of this firearm, for me, as long as it's in a holster that covers the trigger, I don't carry this pistol with the safety on. It's just not necessary. Can't really explain it to you guys until you check it out yourself. I wouldn't be surprised if you measured out and told me it was a 13-pound trigger. I mean, it really is stout. So I wanted something that double action only, hefty trigger pull, that I could fit in my pocket. Like I said, I probably carry this gun maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15% of the time compared to my normal carry weapon. There's just certain situations, and where just not having a tire that warrants a belt, in a holster. So I've taken this gun out to several different ranges, both indoor and outdoor. Shot it in hot summer weather. I've even shot it in weather down in the upper 30s. I know that's not extremely cold weather testing or anything, but out here where I'm from, that's about as cold as you're going to get most of the time. And like I said, never once had reliability issues. I was amazed at how accurate this gun shot. I was able to shoot this gun at probably 13 to 15 yards and put groups that were, just a few inches. Now for a barrel that's, 2.5, would I say, 2.7 inches long, for me, that's pretty good. Also, along with the rear sight being adjustable, the laser is completely adjustable as well. So let's look at a little bit of the ergonomics of this gun. So one thing that you're not going to be wild about with this gun, and this is going to come with a lot of pocket pistols, the thinness of this grip back here doesn't make for the most comfortable shooting experience, especially when you have a gun with this amount of recoil you're going to get because it's such a short frame gun. That just kind of comes with the territory with a pocket pistol. Another thing to bear in mind too is the amount of finger space you have on the gun. With the magazines that have the added finger groove, for me, that's 2 solid fingers with a third one underneath. So this doesn't bother me. I don't mind shooting like this. Some of you it may bother, in which case pocket pistol's probably not your thing anyways. But you can get them with the curved part, or you can get them with a flat base, either one. Looking around the gun, you can see the front. This is actually a steel guide rod, not a plastic one in this little bitty gun, which helps with some of those things, like being able to shoot plus Ps and things of that nature. You have your sight actuation here. The trigger is, I like the shape of the trigger. I also like the shape of the trigger guard. It leaves plenty of room for your hand to fit in. Some pocket pistols make this part of the pistol smaller as well as everything else, and that can cause problems if you have larger hands or something to that effect. This one's great. It does have a safety. Here's the safety right here. It's very stiff, which, I guess that way you won't accidentally actuate it. Like I said, I don't carry with it one way or another. Here's your takedown lever. It takes down very much like a Beretta 92, where you just take this down, slide comes off, and then you have your just 1 or 2 components. A lot of firearms are like that nowadays, but pretty simple, not a lot of parts to it. It has this checkering. See if I can get close enough for you to see that. in the grips and then the sides and the back, which kind of helps for this little bitty small frame gun to fit in your hand really well and have a nice purchase on it. So that's good. Again, we'll double check to make sure our weapon is safe and clear, which it is. And I want to just show you guys this hammer action now that we're pointed in a safe direction. One thing I like about this gun is that the trigger pull is not jerky. It's very smooth all the way to the break. A lot of guns that have a really stout trigger pull, they're very jerky. You have a really hard break at the beginning, then an easy part, and then a stiff break. With this one, it is a hard trigger pull, but it's smooth the whole way, which is really nice. I found that the only thing that I was not wild about with this trigger, and it's definitely a training thing and something to get used to, is that it has a really long reset. I'll show that to you guys again. Again, we'll double check just so that everyone in YouTube land feels comfortable. If I pull this until the break, let it fire, and I pull it forward, wait for the reset. There it is. Do you hear that? It's almost the full length, so a really long trigger pull and a really long reset. That makes for rapid fire training. You just really need to train with that. But that's something that's easily, taken care of. You just got to do a little practice, put in a little bit of work. That's not a huge deal. I really like the magazine release. It's in a location that is just perfect for not accidentally actuating it. It has a nice rubbery textured surface on the end of it. I don't think it's rubber, actually. I think it's plastic, but it's a grippy sort of textured, you can see that right there, surface. It snaps in and out real well, the magazines do, and you can see it releasing on the opposite side when you depress it. Okay. And then you've got your slide. You can see it definitely has the serrations on the back. It doesn't have the serrations in the front, but I never use those anyways, so that wasn't a factor for me. Let's look down these sights for you guys so you can see. Okay, so the sights are all black. That's something that you could fix on your own. There's sight paint. There's also dots you can put on if it bothers you. But it creates a really nice sight picture, as well as being able to adjust it is nice on a small gun like this. So, kind of in conclusion, it's one of those things that, is a 380 better than nothing? And a resounding yes would come from the entire gun community. A lot of people will then chime in with, well, I don't, I only carry 45. Well, I bet 90% of the time they're not carrying. What's nice is to have an alternative so that when you're not able, for whatever reason, to carry your full-sized firearm, or even your normal carry firearm, if it's not full-size, it's good to have options. The one thing I noticed since I purchased this gun is that I never am out somewhere without a carry weapon, ever. That wasn't the case before. As much as I tried to carry, I tried to carry all the time. It was just extremely difficult, especially depending on what I was doing, what I was wearing, where I was going. So having an alternative that allows you to carry 100% of the time, I'm a huge fan of. So definitely, check in on something like this. Ask yourself the hard question and be truthful about it. Do you carry all the time? If you're a concealed carry permit holder. If the answer is no, and you wished you carried more, which most people should, then, what's the reasoning behind that? Is your handgun too big? Is it uncomfortable? Is it the fact that, like me, you're in an environment that, a jacket and jeans isn't always the option, and you need something that's easier to conceal, easier to carry. If that's the reasoning that you're not carrying, I'd rather see you guys have a smaller calibered pistol with you on those times that you wouldn't be carrying your full size than have nothing at all. Like I said, I think most of the gun community would agree with that. So that's why I chose the gun. Hope you guys like the review. Highly recommend this pistol. Nothing but good things to say about it. I guess the only thing that some people wouldn't like is the trigger pull. Like I said, it's quite hefty, but it's definitely something that you can get used to and train on. That's it. If you guys have any questions or comments about the Bodyguard 380, leave them below. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Thanks.